Today is going to be our first normal episode, I promise. Ignore that. We need to upgrade our jetpack. You'll see in the episode, but my current jetpack causes us some, well, serious problems. This makes no sense! So I need to get into Mekanism machines and increase our power supply. At the same time, we should probably make a head start on our applied energistics journey too. So without further ado, welcome back to SIEVELESS. We are in the new base that we built last episode, and I've finally moved in off camera. And so I'll give you an update of what's been changed. I've put the compact machine in the wall over here. It's a temporary place, but right now it's the easiest place for it. And I've finally added all of our stuff that we had on the island into this room here, including our chest storage system, as well as the storage lectern. This isn't the final home for everything, but it fills up the space that we had before, and I'm pretty happy with it right now. I also discovered these feral flare lanterns. Now, last episode I was putting down a bunch of the projectile conjure mage light that I was placing like so, and they're really good, but the feral flare lanterns are even better because they don't actually generate any particles at all. They spawn like mini micro light blocks, so this whole area is lit up by just maybe one or two of these feral flare lanterns. It's really handy, and that's perfect for the indoor spaces where I don't just want to have lanterns everywhere. For example, this is now fully lit by that feral flare lantern over there. I also want to thank everyone for the comments last episode. That was really handy, especially those to do with the room sizes, anything with the smokestack area in the middle, and just overall ideas to add and change to the build. I'm going to be doing those slow time throughout the series, but they were really handy and it gave me a great starting point, so thank you again for all of that. So if I go to my factory room now, you'll see I've also set everything up over here. However, the astute amongst you probably noticed we don't have any kind of power setup. So I'm going to show you a really dirty, simple way of automating our lava production and our energy, early game. So over here, I've got my netherrack barrel. This could be cobblestone, and that is pouring directly into a porcelain crucible with the superheating element from last episode, and that produces lava at a pretty decent rate. Now I've got a tank behind here, and you'll see it's already been filled up a little bit, but the way that I'm going to be filling this up is by using a transfer label. Now the transfer labels are really cheap, redstone bucket and hopper, and I'm going to use 3 of them for this, and these basically act as a pipe but without using a block. So I want to pipe directly into this tank. And the way I can do it is by right-clicking on the side of this, and that will create the transfer label. From here, I can right-click into the transfer label and whitelist/blacklist whatever I want, or add upgrades here by placing more of the labels inside this area. So I've placed 2 more fluid extract transfer labels in the amount section, and if I fill up this area with the fluid tanks, you'll see it will slowly start to go up. It's now extracting the lava from this porcelain crucible into the fluid tank. But it seemed that 1DT was also interested in our amazing transfer label setup. Oh, hold on. I've just seen this wandering trader over here, wherever he's gone. He's selling a sword here that has sharpness 5, looting 4, loads of really good enchantments that I need, and it's really cheap, diamond sword and just emeralds. So I really quickly need to go and get this sword. I can't remember where I stored the guys. I ran around the entire house looking for our villagers because I don't know where I put them. But then luckily they turned up in my R's room. Of course they'd be in the R's room. They're containment jars. Ah, they're over here. Right, let's get some sticks. Trade them up. Yep, so I'll quickly show off this. This is my R's room, again, very temporary. But right now we've got all of the jars and the agronomic source link, our quick little automation for source gems, scribe's table, ritual brazier, and all the boys over here. But we've finally got our emeralds, so I'm going to go here and grab ourselves this brand new sword. Make sure I don't use this one. Oh, that's amazing. That's such a good sword. One thing I'm not sure, if I combine these 2 swords, does that get the same effects? It does. Oh, yeah, we have to do this. So if I combine my sword here with this sword, I should now have an incredible sword with loads of sharpness, loads of looting, unbreaking, mending, and capturing. I'm really happy about this. This is going to enable us to do something later on that I wasn't planning on doing this episode. I love when the schedule gets completely flipped on its head. Fantastic. So before that outburst, what I was trying to show you was the fluid tank is now filling up. If I add those transfer labels on the outside over here and do the exact same, I can place our magmatic generator to the side, and it will now absorb the lava from this tank. So we have now automated our lava production straight into our new fluid tank over here and our energy. Now this is only 1 magmatic generator, so it's not particularly great, but if I upgrade this to, let's say, a 8 times magmatic generator, I can generate 1280 FE per tick, which would be a significant improvement for what we're doing right now. Also, let's have a look at how much we've filled up this tank. Just this amount here. Hopefully by the end of the episode we can get all the way up to this. That would be amazing. I'm not entirely sure whether to keep this tank like that or close it off like that. I think closing it off looks kind of cooler, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Also, if we've not got any machines in use and we've just got this wire over here, we could use the camo block from Camel to camo the block with something else, but for now I'm just going to place copycat panels over the top and right-click them with the materials for the floor. It looks a little bit out of place, but you know that there's going to be something there in the future. I don't think I showed this off. I got a cage from Supplementaries, and it's not a particularly difficult craft. It's a really good way of storing small mobs, so I had this chicken over here, and also, for anyone saying that I put the chicken and the sawmill together, he just walked over there, so he clearly enjoys being over at the sawmill, so please don't question that. I heard that the chicken hadn't liked and subscribed to the video. You should do that. But you can right-click any small mob and store it into a cage, and then shift right-click to place it down in the world. So I just have him sitting over here watching us build. We could put a hopper underneath him and it'd generate eggs. But yes, I did notice that I placed the sawmill with the saw blade touching his feet, which is a bit daunting. Maybe I should move that. I feel like I'm slowly losing my mind here. But today's episode, my plan is to get a start on our Mekanism machines, and then maybe towards the end work towards an AE system. We certainly won't have a full system up by today, but I think we could maybe make a head start on it. I hope. We'll see. So I say we just get stuck straight in. The first thing we will need is a metallurgic infuser. But already, within 5 minutes of the episode, I've already managed to get confused. I've already crafted a metallurgic infuser. I think I did it in episode 2, it was to get osmium, but I only realised it as soon as I tried to place it down. Did I not already have a metallurgic infuser? You already did, mate. Oh, well, we've double crafted it now. Fantastic. But to be fair, we will end up using this later on. And I'll go straight into the Mekanism questline. In fact, we've got some rewards here for steel blocks, configurators, and some pipes. Fantastic. So our other first machines that we want is an enrichment chamber, a crusher, and an electrolytic separator. It took me 3 times to say that. So what am I missing? I'm missing some steel casings. So we're going to need 3 steel casings for this. So looking at this, we're going to need these basic control circuits and some infused alloy. The basic control circuit requires osmium, and then you place redstone inside this slot here. And 2 redstone will give you 1 basic control circuit. So let's go and do that. You place your redstone dust in and 2 osmium there, and we will get 2 basic control circuits from that. We can use that to craft our second machine, which will be the enrichment chamber. So I'll pop my enrichment chamber over here. The enrichment chamber has quite a few uses, one of which is it converts 3 of your raw materials into 4 dust, so you get a bit more out of it. But you can also enrich certain materials over here. So if I enrich this redstone, it will produce enriched redstone. And if I go back to the metallurgic infuser, when I added a single redstone, it produced 10 millibuckets of redstone chemical into the metallurgic infuser, but if I add enriched redstone, it gives me 8. So therefore, for that basic control circuit recipe, I can now use 1 enriched redstone with 4 osmium ingots, and that will produce 4 basic circuits, using only 1 redstone rather than the 8 that would be required beforehand. So we're going to get quite a bit of this enriched redstone. It's quite useful. Now, another thing we want to get is infused alloy, and that is a 1-to-1 recipe with the redstone to copper. So I can use 1 enriched redstone and then add 8 copper, and that will produce us the infused alloy here. And this is also used in a variety of crafts. So I'll get that going all in the meantime. Now, whilst this is all cooking up, I'm going to craft myself a gateway. There are a ton of gateways, but the one that we need is the gateway of the Hellish Fortress. You'll see in the key rewards, it gives me 1 monster spawner, and that is what we're trying to get. Perfect. So we've crafted that up, and we're going to be fighting this in the compact machine. Also, check out how stripped down our compact machine is. I pulled everything out of here now, and all we've got is the generators for all the block types over here, and my create fan setup. I really like this, but I need to find a place for it because I just don't want it in my compact machine right now. I really want it in the world. But for now, it will have to live there. I did also fix up the fans like people suggested, but I'm going to show this off properly when I build this in the overworld. But what a gateway is it basically spawns in a ton of mobs with different waves, and if you defeat all of them, you get rewards. So wave 1 seems really simple, wave 2 gets a little bit harder, 3, and then 4, we get this guy called the Butcher, who's going to be quite difficult. But I think with our brand new sword, we should be able to take him out. I don't have any range attacks, however, I do have my projectile dispel. And if you watch my tips and tricks video, I showed you a mini tip to do with projectile dispel on how we can kill blazes with just 1 shot using it. But if you missed out on that video, I will show you this tip and trick anyway. Definitely check that out after. I feel like I'm going to cheese this a little bit by pillaring up like 3 blocks here and spawning in the gateway just over here. And let's fight. So the first round went really well. I was almost a bit too confident at this stage. Oops. Yeah, these are a little bit too tall for me, but I can... Yeah, that's easy. I can just cheese this. So once we defeat a wave, loads of loot drops out of it as well, so we'll go and pick this up afterwards. But then as soon as the blaze started spawning in, we got into some serious trouble. And so here are the blazes. We're going to use the projectile dispel, and you'll see they instantly get killed, and we almost do as well. So I died, and you'd think that because we died, the gateway would stop. But no, it just kept continuing. So every time I came to the compact machine, I'd just die. Okay, we crafted another one up, so let's go back in and get our stuff again. Oh, wait, what? I thought that would have finished. Right, we're going to have to rush back in. Wait, why is it starting another wave? We're dead. We've died. This makes no sense. And every time I went back into the compact machine, I had like a 50% chance of being insta-killed as soon as I arrived. I pressed /back and instantly died. That's not fair. And just for good measure, I died a few more times. I'm going to save you the obscenities and the swears and just show you when I was calm, collected, and finally finished slaying every one of the mobs in the wave. A moment of zen, some might say. Oh. Right, now we can get rid of everyone else. Delete. 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 So that went absolutely terribly. I'm gonna have to do that again. You know what, there's times like these where you just gotta be a man. You gotta be a real man. No cheesing and just fight it properly. That's what we're gonna do. I'm done with this whole shebang. Let's just do it properly. And hopefully it will all go well, he said. Famous last words. Come on then, chaps. Too good. We're just too good. And I can't lie to you. We just suddenly got good. It seems like cheesing was not the right answer. And our overpowered sword that we crafted earlier just seemed to shred through mobs like butter. And before too long, we got to the final wave. Right, this is the hardest round. This is the one with the special boss as well, so I am terrified of this. After quickly taking out the blazes, we were then left with the Piglin Butcher. He wasn't particularly tough as we just kept our range, but I knew as soon as that axe would hit me, I would die, so I kept well away. We dispatched the rest of the Wither Skeletons, and then we had completed the gateway. Have we done it? Oh, we've done it. Oh my gosh, that was so much harder than it could have been. Wow, that was a lot more than I was expecting, and we got a load of rewards. We need to go and sift this through a little bit. We then did a load of sifting, but when I went back to the compact machine, we found another surprise. And somehow we've now got slime spawning in the compact machine. This is going really weird. I feel like today is just going to be the weirdest episode possible. What? Look how much we got. We had finally worked through the rest of the loot and popped it all in our Ars Nouveau storage lectern. Right, there we go. Finally, we've finished off all the items, and we got our monster spawner, which is what we came here for. Oh, so draining. Oh, cool. So one of the items we got was the feeding upgrade from Sophisticated Backpacks. If I pop this in my backpack and then pop my bread in there and set the feeding to allow and the bread, that should automatically eat the bread when I need it. Yeah, it does. Wow, that's awesome. So we've now just got the feeding upgrade for free. Our backpack has definitely got a little bit too full, so I'm going to upgrade this to the gold and then the diamond variant as well. We could upgrade to the netherite one, but we need the smithing template and we'll sort that out another time. But that should be a lot more space. I'm happy with that. We also got these codex entries from Ars Editions where if we use them, we get a random tier 1 glyph. So we got cut, filter, and then filter. The filters are pretty useless, but the cut's quite nice. Also, with our capturing enchantment, we managed to get ourselves a zombified piglin and a blaze spawner. But the whole purpose of doing all of that was to get myself a spawner for the villager. We're trying to get the villager spawn egg, so if I make the GM chicken feed and then feed it to a chicken, which I think I still have on this island. Don't worry, we won't come for you just yet. Yeah, there's one over here. And if I right-click on him, we get the villager egg. So my goal isn't to make an overpowered spawner, I just want to make a basic villager spawner. So we'll plonk that down there, we'll pop our villager spawn egg in, right-click with a comparator to make it redstone controlled and put a lever on top. And I had some sugar and fermented spider eyes lying around, so I'm just going to use those as well to upgrade it. And hopefully the applied energistics villager is looking more and more likely as we speak. But I believe during that time we should get, yeah, there we go. Our basic control circuits are now finished and we got all of our infused alloy. So we can make a start and make ourselves the crusher, just requiring 2 lava buckets. We've crafted our crusher, we can pop that down as well. So now all we need to craft is the electrolytic celebrator. God, anytime today, mate. The electrolytic separator. That shouldn't be too difficult with what we've got right now, but we do need the dust of gold, osmium, and iron, which means we're going to have to use the crusher we just made. And so we crushed up all of the ingots that were required. Right, so that's all the dusts grinded up. Let's try and make the electrolytic separator now. So we need the electrolytic core. We can make that, and then we need the separator. Perfect. We're also going to need the sink from cooking from blockheads. That will require us to get a water bucket. And there we go. I'm going to grab some of the basic mechanical pipes we crafted earlier as well. So I will bring out the cable to about here, pop down our electrolytic separator, and then I need to pipe in water from the sink into the electrolytic separator. So if I do that, we now should be able to be getting hydrogen and oxygen. And I'm also going to be dumping the excess of oxygen because I'm mostly focusing on this hydrogen. Because I want to craft ourselves the jetpack. This jetpack runs off of hydrogen and it's a lot better than this Auratech jetpack. I get that we could probably make the flight potion car right now. I'm just going to avoid it for a couple of episodes. Just hang in with me. I then thought the best idea would be to upgrade our current furnace setups. So I upgraded our iron furnace to gold, then to diamond, to emerald, and then obsidian, and added a factory augment, which would enable it to use power and also smelt multiple items at once. Pop that over here, and that means we should now have, if I pop in the augment factory, I can either shift right click, or if you actually just shift click that in, you'll get the factory upgrade automatically added. If I enable auto split, I can throw in my dust and it will smelt up like 6 at a time. So much nicer, and we can smelt up things so much quicker, which also means we can remove these other iron furnaces. I then crafted everything we needed to make the jetpack. Perfect, we now have the jetpack. I can pop my jetpack in the slot over here, and it will now start filling with hydrogen. In fact, we should also be able to upgrade this straight to the armored jetpack, which should give us a lot more armor as well, which I definitely need right now after seeing that gateway fight. That's going to require bronze, steel block, and diamond dust. We had every single material we needed, but I needed to crush up the diamonds, and then using 3 crushed copper and 1 tin, we can make bronze dust. So I smelted that up, and we had everything we needed for the armored jetpack. So combining that all together gives us the armored jetpack. Oh yeah, this looks so much cooler than the previous jetpack. Check out those wings. And look, this Orotech jetpack, I get that I did a rank in flight videos and I get that I gave this a good grade, but my goodness, has this just caused us problems? I love Orotech, one of my favourite mods, but this jetpack is going off the edge. I am not dealing with that ever again. It's easier to blame the jetpack than my own stupidity. So it's very simple. It's literally just a regular jetpack, meaning that you can fly up and down. It breaks your fall a little bit better than the Orotech one. I don't need that Blaze Jet one, which was causing me massive problems last time. So that should now be fixed and a lot easier. The secondary thing that I don't think most people are aware of is that it also has a hover mode, meaning I can just hover in this space, a bit like Creative Flight, and using space and shift, I can change where I am vertically. And there's a third mode called Vector that barely anyone talks about. Now, it might seem strange, and it's definitely one of those things you have to get used to, but the way that it works is it bases your direction and speed on where you're looking. If I face directly forward, I will go up. If I face directly down, I will go forward. And sometimes being in F5 tends to help a little bit more with this. But it means that I can kind of fly in this direction and use my mouse to direct where I want to go. And it's really weird when you first try it. I'd recommend you give it a go. So let's, for example, say I wanted to go over to those sugar canes. I can look at this angle here and I will fly quicker than walking speed. And once you get the hang of it, you can be really quick with it, and it's really quite a cool way of flying around. The hotkey to change mode is G. So if I double click G, I go back to regular mode. And if I want to go back into the vector mode, I double click again and I can go into the vector flying. Either way, it might not seem like a big upgrade, but for me, that is a massive upgrade. The Orotech jetpack was slightly grinding my gears a bit with the fall damage we were taking. So we've got the basic machine set up and some power generation, but it's slow. I think we need to improve it. And for now, I think the best way to do it is by upgrading our magmatic generator to the next tier, the 8 times magmatic generator. So that's going to require us to get 7 more magmatic generators and a diamond gear. So after skipping around, crafting up the rest of the magmatic generators, we were now able to get our 8 times magmatic generator. Perfect. So that 8 times magmatic generator will generate us 1,280 FE per tick, which is a lot more than what we were generating previously, and it has a buffer of 4 million, which is really handy because currently our basic energy cube only stores 1.6 mil. That really does drain our lava tank down by quite a bit, so we might have to figure out some better form of lava generation next episode. But for now, that will do, and we can start upgrading our machines. And Mekanism has 2 types of upgrades that you can perform, one of which is using the energy and speed upgrades to speed up production or use less energy. The other one is upgrading the tier of the machine, and we're going to be doing both of those. And the way that you do it is by having the already existing enrichment machine surrounded by these ingredients. Or instead, you can craft the basic tier installer, and that will allow you to just right click your machine and upgrade it to that tier. We'll be doing this. So we've now got 3 of our basic tier installers, and we can now shift right click our machines to upgrade them. And if I go into, let's say, our enrichment factory, it's now got 3 slots and the same auto sorting feature that you saw in our furnace. This is basic tier, so if I upgraded this further, we'd get more additional slots. So I think today we're going to be aiming for the advanced tier, and that's going to require the infused alloy we made earlier and advanced control circuits. Those can be made by crafting the basic control circuits in with some infused alloy. Actually, there's another recipe that I wasn't aware of. You can actually just use redstone with the basic control circuits. I wasn't aware of this. This must either be new or I've just never seen this. It seems that this recipe is actually a lot better, so we'll do this instead. So if my calculations are correct, to make those advanced control circuits, we need 6 enriched redstone to do 8 basic control circuits. And we'll enable on auto sort, so that should also speed this up as well. Nice, okay, I got it exactly right, so that's really good. We've got up to the next tier. So I crafted 3 of the advanced tier installers and popped them into every machine. And so now you'll see we've got 2 additional slots. We'd have 5 in total. That's brilliant. We could also start moving on to the next tier, which is the elite tier, but that's going to require infusing our control circuits with diamond. And even though we can afford it, I think it'd be better to get into the auto crafting to make that setup a little easier on ourselves. But for now, we can still add the speed and the energy upgrades. And both the energy and speed upgrade require the infused alloy and structural glass with either a gold dust or an osmium dust respectively. The structural glass requires 4 steel and 1 glass, so that shouldn't be too difficult to make either. And we ended up crafting a lot of steel from our steel sheet metal for the build, so luckily we've got 54 in stock. And that statement aged like milk, because as soon as I started crafting up the upgrades, I realised we needed a lot more steel to make structural glass. And just like that, we've run out of steel. Well, we might as well get ourselves some more steel, and the best way to do that is by using the metallurgic infuser. If we enrich coal to turn it into carbon, and then place the carbon with iron ingots in the infusing factory, we will get ourselves enriched iron. And if we do that again with the same carbon, we will get steel dust. All of that is now converted to enriched iron, so if I pop that back in with the existing carbon, we will now get steel. I still don't know what's better, the metallurgic infuser or our foundry setup, but either way, it's pretty handy. I then also realised that I'd ran out of copper, and so I tried to go and hunt for my gears. The problem is I'd totally forgotten where I put my gears, so I ran around the entirety of the house for about a couple of minutes, and then finally it clicked. Oh, I put them behind this wall, didn't I? Oh, for goodness sake, why did I put them there? So I got back to cranking and tried to get ourselves at least a couple of stacks of copper. And luckily, because we've got such a better furnace setup now, I don't need to use the foundry for smelting down our gear shards. We can just get them straight from the furnace. Although saying that, I think we could upgrade the speed that we currently get. You could get the augment speed here, which halves the cook time but uses up twice the amount of fuel. And I believe that uses up twice the amount of energy. But for such a simple craft, why would we not do this? We've got infinite energy using our generator here, so you might as well use that. So I then got back to crushing all of our ingots to try and make the speed and energy upgrades. Perfect, so that is enough for 16 of both upgrades. So let's do that. Let's get 16 speed upgrades and 16 energy upgrades. And we're going to add 4 of the upgrades into each of these mechanism machines. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can open up the interface, go into the upgrades and shift click them in, and that will install all of the upgrades. Or the easier way, just shift right click the machine. Just do it that way. It's easier. There we go. So if we go into every single machine, we have 4 speed upgrades and we have 4 energy upgrades. That makes life so much easier. I think we're also going to get 4 of the muffling upgrades. It requires any kind of ingot here and then 4 wool, and we'll do 4 of them just to shut our machines up. The noises are cool, but you know, they get a bit annoying when you've got so many machines running. Now I know we haven't reached that capacity level of 3.2, but the good thing about the advanced cables is that you can bring these to late mid-game or early end-game and still be able to use these, so they're just so much better. I think it's also going to be worthwhile upgrading our energy storage as well, from 1.6 million FE per tick to 6.4. And if we cover that all up, we now have a good source of power, good cables, and faster production times. I think it's time for applied energistics. Now again, we're not going to get too far into that mod today, but this starts the pathway to auto crafting, bulk storage, everything you can imagine. Applied energistics is such a handy mod, and so we need to get a head start on it now. And what we're going to need to start this mod is a charger. It's probably the simplest recipe that we're going to be seeing all day. And we're not actually going to be using it for its intended purpose just yet. And you know what? We need to get a staircase to up here. I don't know whether you've been catching it, but I keep just breaking the block and flying through. Actually, I've pulled back that wall by 1 block, and I'm thinking we could do something like having ladders going up all the way over here to this room for easier access. I know that someone that commented had a really good suggestion of using the smokestack here as an elevator, and I really like that idea because it would give us access to every single floor, including the topmost floor here as well. And maybe we'll do that in the future, but right now I just need a quick access to this floor. And there's 2 types of ladders that would go well there, jungle ladders, or if I grab myself some andesite alloy and whack it into a stone cutter, you can get yourself the andesite ladders. And honestly, I really like these. They've got a really cool 3D texture to them, so I definitely prefer these. Perfect, so I think that looks okay. It looks a little bit goofy, but I think it'll do fine. And I need to grab myself my sauce jars and my cardboard boxed ritual brazier over here. I've got myself some containment jars as well, and if we go outside, I can place the ritual brazier like so and shift right click, and that will keep the tablet of containment ritual going. I think one of you guys in the comment section told me that, and that's been really handy, so thank you very much for that. It means we don't have to keep crafting the same rituals again and again. We can just move them with a cardboard box. So if I place a redstone signal towards that, I can now turn it off and on remotely. So let's plop our sauce jars down and a couple of containment jars, and let's contain some new villagers. They should spawn in and instantly be picked up by the containment jars. There we go. Whoa, that was a lot of villagers. And maybe a bit too many villagers. And I really hope they don't start taking their workstations. Yeah, we now have a bunch of fishermen villagers. Okay. Do the fishermen villagers sell anything useful? Not really. Coal and string to emeralds, that's an alright trade. I think we're just going to have to dispatch them. But I think 3 villagers should be enough for now. This will be a massive callback back to the second episode where we first got our villagers. But what we're going to be doing is just placing a cell for our villagers to live in temporarily. And if I place my villager down there in the jar and use projectile dispel on him, he will escape the jar. And I can break the jar. And here we go, we've got our unemployed villager. Okay, I've put a slab down here so he stops pathfinding, and he should turn into a fluid. There we go, that's so much better. Make sure you pop a slab down or something that they can't walk on, and then they'll turn a little bit quicker. I'm not sure if it's placebo, but I do believe it's something to do with their pathfinding mechanics. And so now we have a villager that sells us Certus Quartz. So let's try and buy as many as we can. And whoa, we've just filled up his whole XP bar with just 1 purchase. That's actually really good. And we can also get ourselves some Skystone, which will be used later on. We'll get ourselves half a stack of that. And apparently we can just buy Fluix Dust. I didn't realise this was a trade. That's really cool. We've just skipped some progress there as well. But the most important thing we need is the Certus Quartz. So I'm going to pick up a lot more of that. Wow, so we managed to get this guy all the way up to Expert. That's really good. I'm going to pop the jar back down, and if I re-enable the ritual, he should go straight into that jar. And we can still access him from that jar, so that is really handy. We can now break him and pop him somewhere else. And we're going to try and make ourselves the Flawless Budding Certus Quartz. That's the G-ore for Certus Quartz. The way that we do that is by making the Budding Quartz G-ore, and then using the Ender crafting to make the Flawless one using the Certus Quartz Dust. And we can get Certus Quartz Dust by just crushing our already existing Certus Quartz. The Ender crafter is not very difficult, requiring Ender Pearls and Eyes of Ender. And because of our previous mob farm, we had a ton left. So if I craft myself up the Ender Crafter and the Alternator... Wait, hold on. How did I get 2? Oh, the recipe gives us 2. That's really handy. If I craft myself up both of those, I can now start making myself the Quartz Geode. And you know what? I might as well get myself 4 of the regular Budding Quartz Geodes for myself, and then 4 of the Flawless Budding Quartz ones. And luckily, we updated the mod pack to the latest version, which has all of the compressed blocks crushing recipes. So we can use our Gravel 2x's to get Sand 2x's, for example. And yeah, look at how quick our crushing is. It's so much better than it was before. And I have my foundry temporarily set up around the back over here, so we can just set that all up. I then made 8 of the Budding Quartz Geodes in total. Great, and that is the last of our Budding Quartz Geodes needed to be crafted up, and I think I miscalculated how much quartz we needed. I did it in the blocks form, so we'll have to break that. We've lost a few blocks there. We've now got infinite thanks to the Budding Quartz Geodes. So, let's grab ourselves the 16 Certus Quartz and crush that down into dust. So if I grab my Ender Crafter and just place it down, I can add the alternators anywhere around it, so I'm just going to pop them here for now. And now we can craft up our Flawless Budding Geodes, and I believe this might take a bit of time. The alternators are active. Yeah, you don't need to power them or anything like that. It just takes time. Or if we've got time in a bottle, we should be able to speed it up. Yeah, we can. Perfect. There we go. They've all crafted up now. So we'll take those out and break down this Ender Crafter setup. And to get loads of it, we're going to just place all of the quartz blocks around here and use the Cranked Growth Accelerator. And we'll make ourselves a little bit of a stockpile of quartz. And whoa, okay. I didn't realize this glows. This looks really cool. Now, if you use any other kind of budding Certus Quartz blocks, these will eventually decay, but the flawless ones don't. And that's the ones that we crafted using the Ender crafting. So luckily, these will never decay and they're just the same as Geodes. And whoa, we just got a stack and a half from our first break. We're going to be getting this in no time. So I think 7.5 stacks should cover us for a while. I don't know whether you can break these with Silk Touch. In vanilla applied energistics you can, but it deteriorates the block, and I believe that'll probably be the same here. So I'm going to use cardboard boxes to surround it and just break the cardboard, and we'll keep them in the cardboard box form and place them in our G-ore place. And that should have us covered for now. For now, I just want to get the building blocks for applied energistics, and we'll do that another episode. And so the second thing that you need a lot of is silicon. And silicon can come from 2 sources. We can either smelt up Certus Quartz Dust, or we can make Quartz Blend, which gives us 4. And we make Quartz Blend by using sand, coal, and then a Certus Quartz Dust, and you get 6. So for 1 Certus Quartz Dust, you end up with 24 silicon. And considering we have infinite sand and a really decent supply of coal, I think it's a no-brainer that we do that instead. Perfect, so we've got all of our Certus Quartz Dust, and we can craft loads of the Certus Quartz Blend. There we go, 3 stacks. How much silicon is that going to produce? Let's pop that in the Obsidian Furnace. Okay, wow, we should be covered for silicon for a long while. I'm going to have to chop that down into blocks for now. And I think that is us covered for a while. We've done a lot of power stuff today. We finally got into the machines. We've even got into upgrades and speeding them up. And we've began applied energistics. We've even got a way now of producing loads of villagers on demand. So if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you next time. Take care.